Hello, this is Roland. Today I want to talk to you about prayer. And I want to tell you that it would be really nice for you to learn how to pray better. Now, it's sort of a paradoxical thing because I know that that prayer is a very personal thing, and basically prayer is just opening your heart to God. Okay? But I have to tell you that most people can't pray very well. They can't, and the proof of it is that people feel like they feel as if God doesn't hear them, or as if their prayers are not being heard. We all know that our prayers are not always answered. We know that. You know, if two football teams are, the proverbial story of the high school student who prays that his football team wins. Okay? Well, sometimes the other team wins. All right. But in life, there are issues. You know, your purpose in life. Which way to go? Which way to turn? How to improve communication with your partner, with your children. How to stop resenting your mom and your dad, and how not to be angry at people, and how to find your true path in life. See, things like that. Not to mention things that happen, like when we get sick, or troubles happen. So prayer is very important, but most people don't pray. You know why? Because they're in a hypnotic state, a hypnotic trance. Now, you may not believe me because you've seen hypnotism on the stage, probably, or you've heard about it. But you don't know that you are a lot of times in a hypnotic state. You're not fully awake and fully aware. And so it would be nice to become fully awake and fully aware, because that way you will be in charge of your own prayer. Okay? Which also sounds like an odd thing to say. But look at it this way. Where do your thoughts come from? When you're lost in worrying about the past, or when you're sitting around resenting someone, angry at someone, think of the thoughts that come. Some of them are vicious thoughts, frightening thoughts, scary thoughts, troubling thoughts. Where do they come from? Are those really your thoughts? If they were your thoughts, then you could control them at will. Most of us have a habit of escaping into our thinking, and then our thoughts carry us away. Your thoughts carry you away, and you don't really have control over your thoughts. See? So, if that's the case, then praying in that state, where would those words come from? See? So the ideal thing would be to take the podium of your own mind and be awake and aware, not under any influence. Look, we talk about people being under the influence. See, I'm trying to talk about this in analogous terms to get you to see how you may be not in an awake and aware state, and that's where you reach God. See, people like Abraham, Isaac, Enoch, Elijah, Paul, Peter, Christ, Ruth, John, Noah, David. These people were not lost in their thinking all the time. They weren't lost in their imagination between their ears all the time, which is where most people are. If people are not lost in their thinking, lost in worrying about the past, or worrying about the future, or reliving the past, then they're lost in texting, or lost in music, or lost in video games, or something. See, These people and the Christian mystics, the true Christian mystics who found a closeness to God, they weren't lost in their imagination either. They weren't lost in texting and daydreaming and planning for the future and what am I going to do next and what am I going to eat and or what happened and why did it happen and what am I going to do and why did she say that? They weren't lost in all that or in fantasizing. See, they knew, in fact, the Christian mystics knew that that imagination and fantasy was not conducive to being close to God. It was something to be shy, to stay away from, especially excessive thinking and excessive planning, excessive worry. See, and we all know that worry is not good. It says in the Bible, how many times? I think it said, worry not, fear not. Because if you're in worry, then you're in that hypnotic state, the hypnotic trance. If you're in fear, then you're in that hypnotic state. Okay. So, what I was going to say earlier is we all know that being under the influence is not good. We hear the term under the influence. Somebody's driving under the influence of alcohol or of a drug or under the influence of a prescription medication or under the influence of marijuana. We know that's not good. And we know that people who drink and then they're under the influence and they do dumb things, foolish things, wrong things. See, we know that. Okay? But how about emotions? When people are under the influence of emotion, of anger, see, that may be one of the worst drugs, and resentment. Those may be the worst drugs of all. When people are angry, they say the wrong thing, they do the wrong thing. See? And they make mistakes. When they're angry, they even get in accidents. They're so upset. See, they storm around and do something dumb and trip on the chair. And see what I mean? It's not good to be under the influence of. So any of these emotions that you're under the influence of. Now, people who are good at getting you into your daydreams, into your imagining, they appeal to your ego. See, either they try to scare you, or they challenge you, or they praise you. They challenge you to try harder and to win and to study hard and to achieve and to set goals. They know how to get you into your imagination. Or they scare you. See, scary stories. Or they praise you. Oh, you're so wonderful, and just think how great you could be if you had this degree, or if you had this skin cream, or if you see what I mean. They know how to appeal to your ego and get you into the imagination. They paint word pictures and they get you in there. And when you are in the imagination, then you're in this hypnotic state. So if you look at it carefully, you're actually under their control. Whoever it is, the motivator, the coach, the teacher, the salesman, see, the naughty person, the rabble rouser, the advertiser, whoever it is, they're appealing to your ego to get you angry, to get you excited, to get you aroused, or to get you thinking about how great you could be if you did this and this. If you studied and got a degree, and they appealed to your ego and made a lot of money, had nice clothes. See, they know how to appeal to your ego. Or if you were popular, see. Or they challenge you, they point something out to make you, to help you to lose confidence. Say, well, you're not very good at this. You're not very personable. You're not dressing right. You're not studying hard enough. You're not trying hard enough. You're not. See, they do that. Then you start feeling lack of confidence. They say, well, here's what you do. You got to study more. You got to be more popular. See. So they're very good at that. So now the question is, who is in charge of your thinking? They are. Who's in charge of your emotions? They are. Who's in charge of your imagination, to pick the images in your mind? They are. Or whatever. See? So something else is in charge of your thinking and of your imagination and of your emotions. When you react to the outside, Somebody comes along and they say something that makes you angry. Who's in charge of your emotions? They are. They made you angry. They caused you to be angry, or you let them. You gave them the power to make you angry. See? All right. So now can you see that when you're all upset about something, you're all worried, something happens, now you're all worried, you're lost in worries and doubts and fears, and who or what would be in charge of making you doubt what you know in your heart, and making, see, remember in the Garden of Eden? Well, okay, so now you see that when you're in no condition to pray, but when you need it the most, that you're in no condition to pray. So first thing you need to do is come back to being awake and being aware. Awake and aware. Awake and aware means having access to intuition from God. He gives us intuition. He gives us His light. We know it as conscience or anxiety when we haven't been walking, when we haven't been living properly. See, then we make mistakes and do foolish things and wrong things, and then conscience is 20/20 hindsight. The light is still there, God is still pursuing you, but now it feels like conscience. But we foolishly don't like conscience because it makes us feel bad, because we want to feel good, and then we look for someone or something that can appeal to our ego and make us feel good, and lie to us. See? So what you need is the truth from God by way of intuition, what you know in your heart. It's wordless. It's wordless. Okay, you need that, and you find that, and that way you're closer to God. See, when you start paying attention to your intuition again, okay, and your conscience, you're closer to God. See, now there is a false conscience, which is once again down in your imagination and down in your thinking, a false conscience. And it says, well, you're not being good enough, you're not studying hard enough, you're not being nice enough, you're not being helpful enough, you're not doing enough for other people. See, it's always egging you on to do more, appealing to your ego. See, well, that's a false conscience. That's from the bad guy, the guy with the horns, or other people, see, who are taking that role of motivator or seducer, challenging you. No, your intuition is quiet, without words. You just know something in your heart. If you were a little bit phony with someone afterwards, you just somehow you know in your heart you were a little phony with them. See, well, it's your conscience, and it's from God. It is actually from God, and that's how you know God exists, because now you know what He cares about. He cares about people. I mean, He cares that you don't resent other people. See, that you don't resent your dad and hate your mom, be impatient with your kids. See, things like that. So now you know that He exists and that He is good, and He's still there. So you know He's there if you have some conscience. See, you know He's there. In your heart, you know you were a little bit mean to your brother, or you resented your mom. See, you know that. Okay, well, you know that from God. That's God's inner light. He sends that to humans. He doesn't send it to cats and dogs. A cat and dog just does whatever cat and dog does. There's no right or wrong for a cat or dog, but humans can have a choice. We can be patient with other people, or we can resent them and be impatient. See, we can be honest with them, or we can be a little bit phony with them. We can do the right thing, or we can be selfish, do the expedient thing. See what I mean? So anyway, the point is, when you come back to awareness, you're closer to intuition, you're closer to God's light, and you're closer to God. And then you can pray, and it'll be your prayer. And maybe you won't even have to say anything. In that state of being close to God, your soul silently cries out to God, and He hears that cry. See? He hears that silent cry. He sees you there. He sees you not reaching for anger, not reaching for alcohol, not reaching for something mean to say, not reaching for some compensation to prove to other people. He sees you just standing there, see, feeling kind of helpless. He sees that, and then He helps you. Okay? So we could call this lesson 1 in how to pray. Now you see how important it is to come up to call. So now you see why I'm always talking about my meditation, which is just a little technique that helps you to come back to awareness. That's all. It shows you how in a very simple way. You can learn it in 6 minutes. Most people are so lost in their imagination and their daydreams and their worries and doubts and fears. They forget how to come back to reality, back to awareness, which is what you had when you were a little child. So if you come back to awareness, to the moment, hear the birds singing, well, then you're coming back to what you had when you were a little child, before you were upset and teased and challenged and treated cruelly and pressured. See? Pressure. Oh, I could say a lot about pressure. But for now, I think I've said enough. Just this very simple video. Maybe I've made my point. Maybe you get it. I kept it so simple that you can see how you may not be in control of your own thinking and in full control of your own, and have your own powers. See? And why it would be good to come back to awareness. Okay? My name is Roland.